So welcome to the Dope Ass Souls podcast. Amber Rashid, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I feel so blessed and honestly humbled to be here with you today.
No, it's
Really
me that should
excited.
feel blessed and humbled to be here with you
Yeah.
on your incredible journey. I am so excited to have you here and thank you again for coming on. And I guess I just want to, have a little intro. Me and Amber met in Rhythmia last year when I went to do my plant medicine for the very first time. And Amber very beautifully held the space for me. I don't know if you remember that actually. I think it was the first night, and I was like in the part of my journey where I felt kind of uncomfortable. And I remember I literally crawled over to you,
Uh-huh.
and you were like, "What's going on for you?" And I was like, "Nature's putting on a show for me." And then I started feeling like really uncomfortable. And I remember you gave me some of that really nice essential oil stuff. And I was like, okay, I feel so much better now. And I just crawled back over to my mat. I think I actually lay on the floor next to you for a while and you were
Yeah.
like rubbing my head. And I was like, yes, I felt so safe. I was like, I never want to leave. And then I crawled over to my mattress and then I went into the next part of my journey. So yeah, thank you for
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah,
being.
I think you sat in front of me at 2 nights but
Yeah, because I didn't want to be away from you. I was like, I want to be near you.
Oh,
You
that's
had
so
such
sweet.
a nice energy. I was like, okay, she feels safe. I'm just going to stay near Amber because she's going to like look after me if anything happens.
Oh, that's super sweet. Thank you so much.
So yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So, okay, I want to know why you wanted to work with plant medicine. Like, is it in your family? Was it a conversation? Like, what triggered you to begin your journey with plant medicine?
Oh, that's a big question.
I know.
I'm just thinking about the last year and a half, and it's honestly been such a roller coaster. I don't even know if I really sat down with myself and asked myself this question, but no, for sure. There was a point in my life where long story short, I had gone to Glasgow at the University of Scotland or University of Glasgow in Scotland to
Mm-hmm.
get my master's. And I went through like a very abusive relationship at the point, and I was at the very, very low, like hit rock bottom part of my life,
Mm-hmm.
very depressed, very disconnected from myself. And interestingly, my brother was also going through something completely different. But actually, I grew up in Costa Rica for almost 10 years of my life. And every year after we moved from high school, we still have our home there. So we would go back one time a year, usually around December time. So my brother was going through his own journey in life, and my
Mm-hmm.
parents were really concerned and really wanted to go get him therapy. And knowing my brother, how he's just really into like researching things, he had found out about ayahuasca through a book called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. And I remember coming home, I think for Thanksgiving, and he told me, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I found about ayahuasca. There's a place in Costa Rica. We're gonna go there as a family." And I was just looking at him like, "Oh my God, dude, you're so crazy." And I was like, okay. And at the time, I was so in my own process and so
Mm-hmm.
disconnected from anything. I didn't even know. I had never really done plant medicine before. I'd done mushrooms one time with my brother in Amsterdam, but not in a ceremony setting. So when he mentioned ayahuasca, I didn't even really think anything of it. I was like, okay, if the family's going, I mean, I'm obviously going too. And so yeah, that was in December 2019, and we went as a family. And I never forget my first ceremony where I like talked to my soul and my highest self about forgiveness. And
Wow.
I think that really just set off the chain for the other events in my life and where it's led me today. But yeah, then through there I had went back after the first time of going to Rhythmia. I went back to school, and then the pandemic had hit. And in the end of 2020, we went back to Rhythmia as a family. And I really just had this calling and ceremony. Well, back up, I had in between that, I had gone to Mexico for a yoga retreat that was integrated with plant medicine. And in the ayahuasca ceremony there, I kept getting this message of being a healer, but I kept denying it because I
Mm,
kind of had these thoughts of like, who am I to like be
yeah.
walking this path? And so I kept pushing it away, and I couldn't accept it. And then when I went back to Rhythmia, I just kept getting similar messages. And then, as you know, things in life, synchronicities just started happening. And so yeah, I worked at Rhythmia as a facilitator, and through that, the medicine really showed me that this is kind of my path in life, or one of my paths in life. And so I just learned to embrace it. And yeah, I learned that it's a calling and it's not really a choice. And so that in itself has been a process, because I feel with that being in service to others is also a responsibility, not only a
Hmm.
responsibility to others but to yourself, because we all have like continuous work to do. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started on my journey and being called to the plants. It was really just, honestly, I have to give thanks to my brother. But yeah, and then life just kind of took off after that. I don't know if that
Wow.
answers the question.
That is such a story. I can't believe like your brother gave you a book, and that's kind of just what sparked off the whole adventure. And it's funny that when you mentioned as well of like, because I really resonated what you said, it's your calling and you were denying it and like you kind of pushing it away. And eventually you kind of just have to be like, okay, exactly. I need to be of service to others and of service to myself and to walk this path, even if it's just like slowly one foot in front of the other, just like, walking that direction. And clearly like you're shining through it and you're obviously very natural at it, so it's really was your calling. And it's so beautiful to see how the medicine has, like, I suppose, come through you for you to walk this path and like hold that space for others who are going through healing, or need to see their purpose, or whatever it is that they want to go and do plant medicine for, which is really cool actually.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and it's so true. Like, I'm resonating as well with like what you're saying. And like for me, I think for most of us, we grow up in a society where it's like, oh, you have to be a certain way, or
Mm,
there's like it's very structured. And yeah, so for part of me accepting this calling was like, okay, like just stay true to yourself. Don't worry about what other people think. And really,
mm,
yeah, because you know how society, especially in our generation,
yes,
there's a lot of pressure, but I mean, there's a big shift going on. But
definitely.
yeah, the plants, the reason I love the plants so much is because they're so pure, and
Mm,
they don't have an ego and or agenda or anything behind them. And so they truly have your best interest. And that's why I trust them so much. And it's really brought me back to trusting myself. But yeah.
yeah, no, I could definitely see how, you know, when you're walking that path and, I suppose people around you kind of don't understand it, but what you've been through on your journey, or what you've gone through during ceremony, and that feeling of just like truth and that purity. And it's like, you can't actually describe it. I mean, you can call it truth and you can call it purity, but it's actually like a feeling of just like this certainty of, I don't know. It's like you just trust it. I can't even explain it. It's like you just
Yeah.
know that it, like what you've been shown, or what, like, is going on for you is the truth, and it's healing and it's beautiful and it's like
Mhm.
magical and it's hard and it's tough as well. And
Oh yeah.
it's incredibly courageous of you to actually be like, okay, I don't really know where this is leading, but I'm going to keep taking the steps forward because you're being led in a direction, that is going to be most alignment with your highest true self.
And it's so true. It's like a remembering, right? Because
Yes.
that's I feel like I believe that we all come with our like a dharma or a purpose in this life.
Mm,
And over time we've forgotten that. So it's just taking off those layers and conditioning and beliefs and ideas that have been put on us to remember that. And that's when you're saying it feels so comfortable. It's because like we know deep down and that's that what it is. And it's like, the truth, it's when it's so big and when you've seen it, it's just exactly like what you're saying, like you can't put it into words.
Mm,
And yeah, that's, I just like in general, I feel like that's how plant medicine and these other like animal medicines are like, you just it's an experience you have to experience for yourself. And when you see the truth, there's no going back. There's
yeah.
no there's no going back, because deep down inside your soul what is real and what is not real. And and that's the thing, like you don't have to convince anyone else. You just be yourself and
Mm,
give off that energy and people will feel it. But as long that's what I say, is like as long as you're doing it from your heart, and
mm,
you're not like hurting anybody and you're standing in your truth, you don't have to worry about what anyone else thinks or says or does. And then the hows and the whys, like for me, especially being so young and like starting to walk this path, like for me, I just remember the hows and the whys are not important.
mm.
You're in service to the light and you're in service to God, like angels and God will always, protect you and guide you. And that's really having, for me, really having faith is when you
Mm,
just put your hand out and just eyes closed and just walk. And not, and leave kind of like that fear of the unknown behind, because yeah, I mean that fear is just an illusion. um
exactly. It really, really is. And I think you really see that after like a ceremony. It's like, I feel like after a ceremony, it's kind of like the dust has settled and like the clouds have cleared, and you're just like, oh, you
uh-huh.
see it in such a different light. And it's like, it's just, I can't even describe it. It's just so beautiful. Like, and when you're saying like walking forward, like having that faith and just trusting and knowing that it's going to unfold beautifully as you keep going forward. And I think like even you doing, I think you've done
Hmm.
the Cambo practitioner recently.
Oh
So
yeah.
do you
Oh
want to
man.
tell us more about the Cambo? Like you're really taking the steps forward and following that path. It's so inspiring. I'm actually just like blown away by it.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps as you're talking about the frog. I think it's because just have so much medicine in me. But so yeah, it was interesting because I recently, so I'm back in Atlanta now, and through the last year, especially with the pandemic, I had sat with combo before,
Mm,
3 times before, but not, and so the last year I'd really wanted to sit with the medicine again and didn't really find the right opportunity. And so when I came back home, I was like, I really want to do combo, but for me, tradition is so important. And that's the one thing that I've really learned in my time in walking this path and being around this people in this community. Um, so I was Googling online, like, okay, where can I do combo? There's not many places in Atlanta. So I was like, okay, maybe I have to go somewhere. I found a bunch of places, and then I came upon this website called the Rainforest Healing Center, and they offer combo, and you can actually go to Iquitos where their retreat center is and do combo, or they offer, and then I saw that they offered practitioner courses, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I don't see that they're offering any ceremonies. I said, maybe I'll do a practitioner. Like I just jumped from a ceremony to be like, maybe I'll serve this medicine. So yeah, I feel like the it's really interesting because I've never felt like a very strong calling to combo. Like I feel very called to like Wachuma and ayahuasca in a sense, but combo, like I never felt very strong calling to it. But then I something was telling me like, okay, sign up for this course. So it was really interesting because I told my mom, I was like, Mom, like I'm gonna go to this course. And she was like, oh, I want to do it with you. And I was like, wait, we're not going for a ceremony. We're actually gonna go do we're gonna like learn how to be practitioners and to be in service of this medicines. And she was like, I want to do it with you. So I was like, okay, let's go. So it was so beautiful. We just came back from Miami last Saturday. It was about an 8-day course, and there's 5 people in our group. It was me being the youngest, 27, my mom being the oldest, 60, and
Oh
it was
my.
very I still don't think I have words to put my like I cannot put my experience into words, but it was very profound. And the one thing I loved about it so much, I'm so unbelievably grateful to my teacher, Omar Gomez. So combo comes from the Amazon. It's an Amazonian medicine from the largest frog in the world, from the Philomedusa bicolor frog. And the indigenous tribes that use this medicine is the Matses. And the Matses are one of the largest tribes that are still around today because of this medicine combo, also known as akate or nature's vaccine. And
Mhm.
it's one of the only substances in the world that can penetrate the blood cell membrane wall. And
Wow.
so that's why it's able to cure things from Alzheimer's to like uh, Parkinson's to eczema, cancer. Actually, there was a scientist in the 1950s. This medicine went into the labs, and he was actually, I think it was at the University of Rome, and he won 2 Nobel Peace Prizes. And they found that has 16 of the same poly polypeptides as the human body and the brain. And so this medicine is very beautiful in many ways, but my teacher basically he studied with the Matses. So they are located in between Brazil and Peru. And he studied with them for 8 years in Peru. And after 8 years, he started a retreat center. And now he's basically traveling the world, teaching people how to be practitioners and spreading the knowledge and the wisdom, but with tradition. And that's the one
Mm.
thing that I love so much because these medicines are so sacred, whether it's you're working from ayahuasca, bufo, iboga, what chuma, or even psilocybin. And I think, us today, these medicines and like shamanism is becoming more awareness and light to it,
Mm.
that it can be easily forgotten about the sacredness about it, and that yes, these medicines do come from a very ancient tradition from like 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. So the one thing I loved about my course was my instructor, because he holds such tradition and respect. And he always says, if anything in life, the one thing you don't steer away from tradition is things with the medicine, and
Mm.
when and respect. And just from my experience and the places I've worked, and the places I've been and done ceremony at myself, I've just also realized the importance of tradition. And the one thing I think that the combo was so healing, especially this time, the medicine was way more strong.
Mm.
And I think the other part of that was intention. Intention is so important. Every day we would sit down. We did 2 ceremonies a day for a week. So it was
Oh my God.
super intense, super intense. Um, but every day we sat down for around 30 minutes talking about an intention we wanted to work on. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. It's like a lighthouse. And when you go within that intention, and you know how it is, sometimes when you're on the medicine, you like your ego might be wanting to escape. And for
Mm.
sure, for me and some of my combo ceremonies last week, my ego was screaming at me like, oh my God, why are you doing this? I take the medicine off and just trying to escape. And when you have that intention, it really brings back to your focus of why are you doing this? And but yeah, it's a 20-minute ceremony. Combo's a 20-minute ceremony, and it's you literally feel like you're dying. You will you it's definitely like a warrior medicine type of medicine. This medicine was used by the Matses for not only a physical, spiritual, and emotional cleansing,
Mm.
but also for hunting and gathering, because it gives you strength, and it like boosts your immune system. And it yeah, it's really beautiful, and it's really tough, but that 20 minutes of suffering is worth a lifetime of happiness. And it's so beautiful because it goes to like the root of the problem and literally extract it. Sometimes in ayahuasca it might be fairy like or like story like, and like yeah, also ayahuasca can be very like grandmother like, not so pleasant as well. But
Mm.
combo is very masculine and is very like, yeah, you just have to push through. But yeah, it was a beautiful experience, and I'm just so grateful to the medicine and to the frog. And the reason I really felt another reason I felt called to go do the combo is because this medicine is legal in almost all parts of the world.
Oh,
And yeah, and so I feel like healing is needed now more than ever. And because
mm.
this medicine is more readily accessible to people, I felt like this is probably one of the reasons I was called to come sit with it. But yeah, that's kind of my my spiel on combos. But it's really beautiful medicine for anyone that's listening, anyone that really wants to. They say that if you feel that life is not going the way you want it to go, if you're just having like a fog or a haziness, this is the time to do combo. Combo is truly an energetic, spiritual, and emotional cleansing of your being. And yeah, it's it's tough, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it sounds like 20 minutes of suffering is definitely worth, like, the purge that you go through. I myself, I haven't done Cambo, and I really wanted to do it actually, when I was in Bali, but I don't know, I just never got around to it. I also think I might have been a bit too scared.
Yeah, it's tough,
Yeah.
and I think it's one thing I've really learned, especially with someone that's holding to tradition. I've seen how combo, as it's becoming more popular, more people are becoming practitioners. There's also a lot of things, and I think, this is seeing a lot of things on social media of people placing certain dots on certain parts of the body, for example, shot on certain chakras or
Mm,
certain. And this medicine, it's very important to know that's not for everyone. This medicine
mm,
does have contraindications. It works with your heart.
mm,
And there's just a certain level, like for example, we did a ceremony on our chest, but really like that can be super dangerous. And like no one should be serving medicine to you on your chest unless they've had like 8 years of experience. And like my instructor's been studying with this medicine for 14 years, and then I see people on social media who just got licensed last year and are doing like points on their chest and on their ears, and I'm just like, this is why tradition is so important, and to know what you're doing, because
mm.
this medicine, I mean, can if it's not served properly, it can kill you too. So it's important that safety is number one thing. And that's why I just think it's so important with any medicine, whether it's ayahuasca or iboga, or who you're doing it with, and
Hmm.
safety is so, so important.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I mean, ever since everyone's heard a story, or like, kind of a freak accident that happened. But, I guess that comes hand in hand with when you're playing around with these medicines. So it's so important, as you said, to like make sure the person and trust them, and the setting is all like set up for you to have your beautiful experience,
Mhm.
because it is an incredible tool to, help on your healing journey and help you rid of all that stuff that's, clogging up your being, and that's not you, and that's keeping you from being you. And it's
Exactly.
it's amazing that it's actually pretty much legal everywhere. I didn't actually know that. And it makes it more definitely accessible, as you said, so people can just go and do it if they do feel called to it. Like, that's kind of sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly. There's like only a few places that's not legal. One of them is Australia, I believe, and the other one is very interesting. Also in Brazil, I believe it's not legal.
Hmm.
That's where the medicine also comes from, but I could be wrong. So, but yeah, it's really accessible. And the other thing is like it's so important, which I learned, like, with everything, like who to know where the medicine is coming from. Because
Mm.
also times where people, and you can Google online like to buy combo, but a lot of times what's happening now is people taking egg whites and they're cutting the medicine and they're mixing it with it. And then what happens is that like they if there could be a freak accident where someone's allergic to eggs, and because that the
Mm,
medicine is cut, they have an allergic reaction, and oh shit, they think it's because of the medicine, and really it's not pure. So this is why, yeah, just once again, knowing where the medicine comes from, who you're sitting with, sense setting, because yeah, these medicines are beautiful tools to help us.
mm,
They're not, and I love the way that like when you mentioned tools, because it reminded me that in any plant medicine ceremony, that's only like 40% of the work. The other
mm,
60% of the work is integration and taking what you've applied outside of ceremony and applying that to your daily life. Because you can take plant medicine 100 times, any different one, or you can take it every day. But if someone thinks that it's going to fix them or solve their problems overnight, like that's just a misunderstanding, because the medicine is here as a tool to help you, show you, and help you release things, but it's up to you to have that awareness after, and to be able to apply what you've learned, and to be willing to be open and to change the things, because um yeah, the medicine, like you said, like I said, it's just a tool to help us. It's not like a magic pill.
yeah, because I definitely found when I was doing the ayahuasca afterwards, I had a beautiful ceremony. It was magical. I saw my soul, was merged back with my soul. And then, there was like a really difficult part of the night where it was kind of like the darkness. And, afterwards you feel like very like, high, and you're like, oh my God, like just had all these insights. But I didn't realize that the integration was actually going to be as tough as it was. Like it was, a lot really challenging, and it was a lot of like, limiting beliefs, and it was a lot of like mirroring, and it was a lot of shadow work. A lot of things just became so much clearer to me on how they were playing out in my life, and it was really tough. But I suppose going through it, I knew, I was like, okay, this is literally for my highest good. Like this will pass. It felt like I was in ceremony again. So it was like life just felt like it was just continuing on. And I'm like, wow, it's so powerful how sometimes you get even downloads and stuff of like, okay, this is how I'm kind of reacting to the situation. This is how I need to change. Or, as we were talking about earlier about that download to do the podcast, that came to me in one of my ceremonies as well. It was like, start a podcast. And I was like, about like, plant medicines and stuff. And I think you said you had the same as
Mm-hmm.
well. But like in that moment, I was doubting it. And like for months, I was like, I want to do it. But I was like, but I was like, that's scary. I don't want to actually do that. Like, how am I going to bring myself to do that? And I was like, but if it's in the medicine, I was like, maybe I should. I was like, but I don't know. You start to question it, and you're like,
No,
should
no.
I? Should I not?
And I totally resonate with that, because like I know you and I like we were on the same page, and I was like, I'm gonna do it next week. And then we are just like kind of like just got to this point was it where I was like, you know what, we're just gonna do this now.
Yeah,
And
you just have to like drop the. I don't know. It's almost like it's a fight with yourself, because like it's not with anybody else. It's like you're having this fight with yourself. Like I can't, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Not yet. Not yet. And then it's like, okay, you know what? Let's just do it.
uh-huh, and that's the fear, right? Because it
Yeah.
totally this such an illusion, because like fear stands for false evidence appearing real, and it's
Yeah.
like we have all these imaginations, and that's, I think, also it comes back, something that I am really trying to focus on too is being in the present, because
Mm,
when you're in the present, you're not thinking about the future or the past doesn't exist, and so you're just here and now. um but yeah, I'm just so blessed to have you, because you were part of my journey and helping me get my stuff going, and I'm just really glad we have each other. And it's just, and I think I told you this before, it's like after I published my first episode, this whole illusion that I had and like all these scary thoughts like just dissipated, and I just realized how safe of a container I was in, and all the love and the feedback I was receiving, and it just reminded me of like, yes, Amber, you are safe. And
mm,
and I think that's also like really important, like when we're feeling overwhelmed or we feel a lot of fear, is that we to have that realization that we have that in ourselves, and
mm,
to always come back to ourselves. Sometimes we're always looking outwards for the comfort or for the safety, but we already have that inside of us. So yeah, the integration is a big part of it. And yeah, it's every day is, I say life is a ceremony. So
yeah.
every minute we're integrating. But just having that awareness and shift in perspective is already a beautiful change. And we're humans and we're not perfect, so we're gonna forget to remember, and that's the beautiful part of life.
Exactly. You couldn't have said that better. Like I really, really agree with that. It's just, it's funny. There's been so many days, like, when I'm integrating, like some days would be very, very challenging where it's just like coming as like a rush and like the thoughts are, and the mirroring and the kind of like, it's for me, it was like the limiting beliefs. And it was like all of the kind of, I suppose, ancestral way of kind of old ways of living and thinking. And it was like, hey, these are not my thoughts. Like, this is
Mhm.
not me. This is like an old way of being. This is actually not a true representation of like who I am. It's not how I want to show up in the world. And then, as you said, like once you kind of then step forward and do one thing that you kind of want to do that's out of that comfort zone, everything, it just like disappear. Like the fear and all those thoughts and illusions just kind of like go away. And you're like, oh yeah, I am safe. Like no one's gonna like, I don't know, kill me for doing what I
Yeah.
want to do. It's like we make this a thing in our head. It's like so much bigger than it is. And it's such a beautiful journey, as you said. Like life really is like one big ceremony, because you have those highs and you have those lows. And then, some people come into your life at sometimes just to hold that space for you while you're going through a difficult period. And then, you might see them again till another later time in your life. And, people come and go for different parts of your journey. And it's like some people stay longer. And my mom has this kind of, I suppose, like a saying about your life is like a train journey. So, and you're sitting on the train, but some people will come on and sit on the train with you for a short time and then they'll get off. And then somebody else might come on and they might stay on much longer. And it's like, that's just like going through life is like, having these people come in and out of your journey and helping you on this wild, wild adventure.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I resonate with that because I feel everyone has a purpose in life and everyone serves a
Mm,
role, and the people that are in your life at the moment are what you needed in that time.
yeah.
And yeah, it's really interesting because I'm I was listening to a podcast episode with Sahara Rose
Mm,
about relationships, and and people coming in and out of your life, and it's like, when you're doing a lot of internal work, um there you're constantly raising your vibration, and so you'll see things that naturally and just things that naturally don't serve you anymore will start fading away, and things that because everything is energy, so then you'll start
mm,
attracting things into that energy, and some people in your life, that's what you needed at that time. But then as you keep up leveling, not meaning that you're better than anyone else or below, but just as you keep raising your vibration, things that naturally don't vibrate will dissipate. um but yeah, life is just so beautiful. I'm so grateful, honestly.
I know, because you have these like beautiful bliss moments and you're like, oh my God, it's so amazing. And then there's other days it's like, oh my God, this is so hard and tough when you're going through it. And it's like, oh, you just come through the like, and I feel like recently in the last, I suppose, year, it's very much so that like it really is that like up and down, letting go, new insights, new downloads, like constant shifting, like as you were saying earlier, like a shift in perspective. And it's like I really actually feel my consciousness just like expanding, just like little by little, even just by the smallest of interactions or like things that would happen in my life. And I don't know, was it, is that because of the medicine, or is that just kind of what's happening in the world at the moment? Because as you were saying earlier, like there's 100% just that shift happening on the planet right now. And I think more and more people are, becoming more aware and like coming back to the light. And I think it's just so I don't know, sometimes it just gets overwhelming, and it's so
Yeah.
nice to know that you have like you've been a massive part on my journey as well, just knowing that you really are not alone. Because when you did yours, I was like, okay, someone else is stepping forward to do it. I can do it. I'm not going to be alone. It really is just about creating that safe container for all of us to step more into our truth and, come home to ourselves. And it's like, it's okay. It's safe.
Exactly. It's so true and so beautiful what you're saying because, like I said before, I feel like life is a ceremony, and right now there's a lot of purging going on,
Mm.
and that's how I relate it to like plant medicine in a way. Like purging can look like many different things, whether it's vomiting,
Yeah.
shitting, shivering, release of any types of emotions,
Hmm.
sweating, but like I feel like that's what's going on in the world right now. There's a big shift of we're in the time of awakening, and
Mm-hmm.
with that there comes darkness, because without everything is duality. We can't have one without the other. But
Mm-hmm.
we have to, like, there's a lot of purging going on, and that's evident in like what we were seeing around the world. But we have to trust in that, because even when we apply it to our own ceremonies, like, I feel like a lot of times, especially in our generation, and the things that we see on social media, it's always about, oh, just moving to the light, and like, oh, everything is all rainbows and butterflies.
Mm.
But really, we have to learn to accept the other side of that. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to go through the dark moments to get to the
Mm.
light. And that's like literally the phoenix rising, and being rebirth. And I mean, if you look at nature, I mean, we have different seasons. We have like, like summer and spring where everything's blossoming, and then you have fall and everything starts to die. Yeah, everything has to fall apart so then it can be rebuilt again. And then that's exactly like what's going on in the moments. And that's where integration is so important, and like using tools, whether it's
Mm.
medicine or not, and like finding the thing that works for you, whether it's like different types of grounding, meditating, but staying centered. It's
Mm.
what helps you feel safe, right? It helps not only you see yourself feel safe, but you help vibrate that energy outwards. And like, it all starts with the internal work. I feel like a lot of people want to say, oh, like, but this person needs to change, this society. But
Mm.
really, if the best thing that we can do, especially I feel like right now,
Mm-hmm.
is to do the inner work. Because when you do the inner work, you start vibrating the energy, and people start notice. It's like a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I really feel like how change will come about. But also, like, it'll just create more of that safety blanket, not for yourself but for other people as well, because they'll see that comfort. Okay, this person is obviously doing something, what are they doing?
Yeah.
I should be doing the same thing, so it just yeah, we all it's all energy. And um yeah, we got to embrace both parts of it, because it's not
Mm.
always rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah, no, I definitely resonate with that. And I think looking back on my journey when I was doing the ceremonies, I had those beautiful moments, those high bliss moments, and then I could feel the darkness trying to come in, and I was like, no, like I'm not ready. And I actually was looking around at everybody else around me, because people were crying, and they're getting sick,
Mhm.
and I was getting upset about what they were going through, and I was kind of almost like ignoring my journey that I had to go internally. And I remember when the shamans came over to me and they were like, you need to just like let the medicine work on you and stop worrying about everybody else. And then I was like, that's funny, because it's kind of how that plays out in my life sometimes. I'll kind of, look to kind of help others rather than really kind of looking inside myself. And I was like, okay, that's a lesson to learn there. It was like, I need to be comfortably sit with that darkness and accept that darkness, and like, okay, it's there, it's part of who I am. It's not all love and light. Yes, there is love and light. You don't get to love and light without coming through the trenches and like those dark moments. You cannot have those moments. And I think what I've realized recently is just really accepting those dark moments and those dark days, and just like, yeah, okay, that's just how I'm feeling today. Whereas in the
Mhm.
past, I would have been like, no, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I need to be feeling better, or almost like convincing myself that I need to be feeling positive. Whereas now I'm just going to sit with it, and I'm like, this is how I feel. I like just cry it out. I just let it pass. And then, I don't know, it just makes it more like fluidity, flowing, flowing.
Flowy, yeah, flowy. Oh, but no, it's so true, because the more that you ignore something, or the more you shove it down, the more it will persist, the more it will come back into your face. And
Mm,
eventually, sometimes, like, depending how long you ignore it, it eventually just explode in your face, and it will not be pretty. But it's like,
mm,
in those moments, when I feel anxious or I feel fear or something, I've really just been trying to, like what you said, embrace it and to accept it, and just be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna invite you over here to sit next to me.
yeah.
We're gonna have like, just like, like, embrace it, because that's part of you as well. And it's like we all have an inner child, right? And our inner
Mm,
child is screaming and yelling for our attention. And yeah, it's just important to recognize those parts of ourselves, because I mean, it's something that you can only ignore for a little bit of time. And
mm.
Yeah, I think also just asking the question of why. I think why is so important. Why am I feeling like this? Okay, now like why, like even where and what, like where did this stem from? And I think a lot of that goes back to the childhood
Yeah.
um, trauma. And I think, spiritual bypassing is for sure a thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting. I read this article had like ten different types of spiritual bypassing. But even before, like I really resonated with some of them, and like consciously I didn't even realize like I was doing it. But that's like, especially when we go sit with the frog and the frog, the prince of the jungle, is also what they call him. There's no spiritual bypassing there. Is definitely pulling things out from the root, which is so beautiful. And yeah, it's not easy, but it's totally worth it because like I said, like eventually I think, because everything manifests. So
Mm-hmm.
the more we push down certain feelings and emotions, and that's why I feel like, all disease stems from emotion, because everything is energy, whether it's from a headache to a certain type of cancer. So
Mm-hmm.
the more that you ignore it, the more it will manifest into something else. So you might as, and we're human. I mean, yesterday I was feeling like shit, didn't want to talk to anyone. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go through my process. But
Mm.
I just accepted that. And
Yeah.
today I'm just like feeling so happy and like so light. So it's like, life is totally a roller coaster. And beautiful thing about being human is that we have emotions and we have feelings, and that's just part of life. And so yeah, just need
Exactly.
to love all parts of it, honestly,
I,
just love it all.
yeah, I love what you said there. Just about, feeling literally shit one day, and then the next day you're like, oh my god, life is great, I feel amazing, and you're just like, oh, it's not so bad, and you're just like going about your day. I totally resonate with that. Like, and I feel like, I think like more recently it's been happening, like it's very much an up and down thing. But as you said, like just accepting it and being like, okay, that's just the way it is, like,
Mhm.
and it's gonna pass, just like everything does in life.
Yep.
um it's so beautiful. Oh my God, I can't believe, like, I just love your journey so much. And I'm so excited to. So, are you going to be sitting ceremonies or holding ceremonies anywhere?
So yeah, so I kind of feel like I have a lot going on in life right now. I'm going step by step, but so right now, I'm finishing up a Dharma life coaching and spirituality life coaching course with Sahara Rose in May. And then actually it was so beautiful because in June, I'm going to be working as a facilitator at the Rainforest Healing Center for 3 months,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
and for ayahuasca ceremonies. And in the meantime, yeah, I just got certified to be a combo practitioner. So I'm working on building my website, and I would love to hold ceremonies, and also with my mom. I think because that we went through this journey together, and I think our whole family has been on this journey together, but especially for this particular medicine, I think it'd be so beautiful for my mom and I to hold like mother and daughter ceremonies.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I feel like I really am and want to be in service to the medicine. So I'm working on getting my website together and to hold ceremonies. For now, I think it'll just be word of mouth.
Mm.
And then in June I'll be going down to Peru to be a facilitator, and I'll most likely be doing an advanced training course with combo and developing my relationship more with the medicine. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to right now. For sure, the medicine, some way, shape or form will always be a part of my life. Um, but yeah.
It's so beautiful. I can't. You're going down to Peru. So, is that? You said for 3 months.
Yeah, so it was actually funny because when I was the people I got my certification with, Omar,
Hmm.
Jimena, she's an amazing soul. She actually just bought the retreat center. The retreat center has been up for 8 years, but then during the pandemic, they closed it. So this year is the first year that they're opening it. And when I had an interview for doing my combo practitioner course, the thought of even going back to be a facilitator or going back to do ceremony was not even on my mind. But Jimena just asked me, she was like, do you want to come be a facilitator? And I was honestly so shocked. I was like, okay, I think the jungle is like really coming, asking me to come work with it and be in the Amazon. And I think that really stemmed from last June. I went to the Amazon in Iquitos, the same place, but I went to Spirit Quest to sit with the medicine of Wachuma. It's also known as San Pedro.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. We had 3 ceremonies every other day, and 2 of the days we sat with indigenous tribes that founded this medicine that still don't even speak Spanish. They still speak their dialect language. And I remember the second day we went to go see the second tribe, and when we took in about an hour boat ride so the retreat center Spirit Quest is on the Amazon River. We took a boat ride about 45 minutes, and then we walked through this town to get to the edge of the jungle, and then we went for like about a 45-minute hike and to meet this tribe. And I left my heart and my soul in that place. I just remember walking out of the jungle and I was like, this is my first of many walks back here. And I think that was like the trigger. That's also when I left Rhythmia. And I had a calling to come back home and be an advocate for plant medicine. And then I found Combo. And then through this, I think by me having that internal knowing that I was coming back there since last June is what triggered the set of events for me to come work back in the Amazon through this new retreat center. I wasn't even looking for it, but I guess the jungle was looking for me.
Yes, it sounds like it's just like, you're coming back, like we got you.
Yeah, it was incredible. We went there and I thought we were gonna, for our third ceremony, we were gonna go sit with another indigenous tribe. So I told my friend after the second ceremony, I was like, listen, my whole duffel bag, I just put my clothes out for the airport. I was like, I don't need any of this stuff. And not that these people need it, but I just felt, this experience was so profound because it was my whole highlight of that experience is literally a reality check. It was a reality check to everything. And I was just like, wow, we are so blessed and so grateful. We have so much to give. I was like, we were deep in the medicine because on Wachuma, it's similar to mushrooms. You do it during the day and you're supposed to go out in nature and you feel very connected to everything. But I took out my wallet and I was like, I just don't even know how much this is, but I don't need it. We are so we live in such a consumer society, and we are such a world of greed that we forget the importance of not only it's not about only taking, it's about giving. And that was something that Wachuma has really taught to me, especially when I did one ceremony even in Mexico before going to work as a facilitator. I remember we were sitting there and there was a few people and my cousin, this tree, she was so beautiful. She had 3 different faces of generations, the oldest being from the bottom and then it kept getting younger at the top. And I was, guys, this tree is not happy with us. They're like, why was it saying? I was like, dude, she's just telling us how we are so greedy as a society and all we do is take and take and we need to give back. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, Wachuma is amazing. It's a beautiful way. The most similar thing I can compare it to is to mushrooms, but not, that's the only similar thing I can compare it to, but it's very, very intense. It's very beautiful. It's very grounding. It's a grandfather spirit. And the medicine is definitely, if you go and do it in nature, we went swimming in the Amazon River and wow, I mean, all the stories of you see in Disney, oh, there's crocodiles and piranhas, that's honestly all such bullshit. There's so many things that just society just depict things in ways that are not even true. And Selva, her father founded Spirit Quest. He passed away down Howard, and she is 21, I believe. Yeah, she's 21, and she started learning how to work with the Wachuma since she was 14. So she was the one that led our ceremonies. And I was asking Selva, I was like, Selva, have you ever seen piranhas or anything? She's like, know, she's like, I've been swimming here since I was like a baby. And it's like, it's so true. When you go down the Amazon River, you see people swimming in the river. So when we were on the medicine and swimming there, wow, you
Wow.
felt so connected to everything. And the children in this tribe were so pure and so innocent. And yeah, I literally left my heart there. And I just feel like my calling in this life is just to be an advocate for plant medicine and to really, bring awareness to indigenous tribes and the importance of sacredness. And um yeah, that's the one thing I love about where I'm going to go be working at the Rainforest Healing Center is they have an ayahuasca restoration project. So every time that they cut the vine or use the medicine for ayahuasca, you replant it. And
Oh, wow.
so it's really beautiful because the retreat center, it's surrounded by 100 different medicinal plants. And I just love the aspect of giving back to ayahuasca because there's so many places out there that just take, and take.
Mm,
It's actually a really interesting book. It's called the Ayahuasca Manifesto. It's a free PDF online. It's about 50 pages. It's someone channeled ayahuasca, and the whole manifesto is from the perspective of Mother Aya, and she explains who she is and her mission, and she talks about the exploitation and if you are going to serve the medicine, what counts as abuse or exploitation of the amount and all this. It's really beautiful. I really highly recommend it to anyone that's listening, and even for anyone that just wants to know about what ayahuasca is, because life is about giving and giving
mm,
gratitude. We are really blessed and fortunate. Yeah, to even wake up every day and open our eyes is a blessing, and that itself is a miracle. And so yeah, that's just one of my real thing my things in life is to really give back. And because these medicines are so sacred and we're very humble to be using them,
mm,
because some of these medicines like ayahuasca, they didn't start coming down from the Amazon until I don't know exactly how many years, but within the last 40 something years. And so, and the reason was because a lot of these tribes didn't think they were scared that the Western world would abuse them and not respect them. And in some ways and forms, we're seeing that going on in the world in different community plant medicine communities. So that's why I think that this ayahuasca manifesto is really beautiful because it comes from the medicine's perspective. But yeah.
wow. That is what an incredible journey. I kept like going into the Amazon and actually going with the tribes. Like that's a pretty spectacular thing to do. How did you kind of live there? Is there like kind of houses, or do you live in with the tribe, or are you kind of staying
Oh,
away from them?
oh, with the retreat center that I went to at
Yeah.
Spirit. Oh, so yeah. So the retreat center is it's a lodge. It's a
Hmm.
rustic, but there's like toilets and showers, and it's really beautiful. They have a maloka. So they have a maloka just for the ayahuasca ceremonies, a maloka just for the wachuma ceremonies, and they do
Mm,
different dietas as well. And yeah, you stay at the retreat center, and then for the day you do the opening ceremony in the maloka with the prayers and with the medicine, and you drink the medicine, and then you'll go out for the day on the boat. So the first day we went down a 10-minute boat ride to where this one tribe was, and we literally just spent the day with them, and the whole
wow.
ceremony was just how to be. And like, it's really beautiful. These tribes, they do like an opening dance for you. And like, you're just there on the medicine and you're just like hanging out basically. And like, you can go and walk around and be by yourself if you want, and like do your own thing. And then after, we'd come back to the retreat center and we would go back to the Maloka, do our closing ceremony. But Wachuma is it's a medicine that lasts for all day. Like, we took the medicine at noon, and by 1 p.m., even at night, like we would do the closing ceremony and have dinner, but even at 1 p.m., like you're still feeling the medicine super strong. So it's like an all day adventure. But yeah, we didn't live with the tribes. We just went to go visit them. And these two tribes, Don Howard, I think he's really created a project and really helped supported them throughout
Mm,
his time. I think since, I don't know, he started the retreat center around the 1970s, but yeah, these are like two groups that he really supports. So yeah, it was beautiful. And um yeah, if anyone has the chance to go and do
Mm,
it, I highly recommend it. It's just like, I when I went to go do this medicine, it was super needed at the time. It like, like you said earlier, you felt like, when you do the medicine, it kind of you can kind of you can see clearly. And so
mhm.
medicine just wow. The first day coming back on the boat ride, my mouth was like it was just wide open. I was just in complete shock. It's just yeah, just it's they say Wachuma is like the medicine that cuts the head off the ego so you can see clearly.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it's very grounding, and it's very beautiful. It can be very intense, but I think it's a lot more softer than other medicines, like compared to iboga or ayahuasca or bufo. But yeah, if you ever that medicine really just it brings a lot of clarity. And yeah, it's super beautiful if anyone has. And I think that it's so beautiful when you go and you do the medicine
Mm,
from where it originates going to the heart of the Amazon. Like the vibration and the energy behind the medicine is just so much stronger. And
mm,
it's yeah, it just and that's why like set and setting, going back to that, is just makes such a big difference. Whether, for example, even something so subtle, taking mushrooms at like a music festival, or like doing mushrooms at home or with like in a ceremonial setting, it just makes a huge difference. And behind that, with anything that you do, like doing with intention, it makes all the difference in the world.
yeah, no, it's, as you said, it's very important to have that intention and the set and the setting. I'm just honestly blown away by all the different medicines and all the different adventures that you've had with it. It's such an incredible journey and story. And I'm so grateful to have met you at Rhythmia, because I genuinely feel like this is kind of the beginning of our friendship and our journeys together, even though I guess you've obviously drank a lot more medicine than I have, but it's really inspiring me to really want to go to the Amazon and, spend some time with the tribes, because it's just, I know that feeling when you're like on the medicine and when you're in that sacred space and you're around tradition. It's just like the most beautiful sacred thing that you just want to be part of it, and you just want to, like, tell others, and you want to, spread the word, and because it's like
Mhm.
everyone needs to feel what this feels like, and see the beauty in, you know all these beautiful medicines, that come naturally from the earth. You know what I mean? Like, this is natural medicine.
And that's oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps as you're like saying all that. But like, first of all, I'm so blessed to have you in my life too, and I feel I'm I'm glad we communicate. Like, I am glad we exchanged information.
Yes.
And I know, yeah, I have the same feeling. I know this is like only the beginning, and we're both like so young. We have so much ahead of us, and I think it's so beautiful, especially for our age and people around our age, especially people that are like starting to waken up. Because
Mm,
um yeah, this is like the future, and we're helping generations and like generations to come, to help them realize and things that our further generations and our parents don't have to experience anymore. And
mm.
yeah, if you ever want to come to the Amazon, like I'll be there. So and
You're gonna move in.
yeah, you can come down to the Amazon. I totally it was so crazy because when I was sitting with this one the first day at this indigenous tribe, I was just like, "Oh my God, everyone needs to come here right now."
Yes.
Like, everyone needs to feel this, because I feel like as in society, we've just gone so disconnected from
Hmm.
reality and like what is and like the truth. And like you said, like these medicines are natural and they have been here for thousands of years. And that's the thing, like I know like most people sometimes don't even realize like a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, like the basis and the foundation of them came from herbalism and came from
Hmm.
like the plants. Where do these people think they came? So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's that forgetting that we are nature, and we're
Hmm.
not separate from nature, and one day we're going to go back with nature. And so that's why I always said I love plants, and like these, even like the combo and the frog, because these, they have been here. They don't have an alternative agenda, ego, or mission behind them. They're really just here for our best interest. And
Mm-hmm.
we like, that's the thing, like nature is alive and is always speaking to us, whether we're in the Amazon or we're in the desert or we're in the city, like just the wind blowing, like all these tools have always been here, and they're always trying to communicate with us. I mean, we're still and we can be present, we can listen. That's when we start getting the messages and the downloads. And yeah, it's just, nature is just really beautiful. I just feel so unbelievably grateful. And I think that, more people, and like, plant medicine is not for everyone, and that's
Mm-hmm.
totally okay. And that's totally okay. Like, everyone just has to find the medicine that works for them. But this is just something that I think a lot of people could use. And I've just seen that the way it's transformed my own life and my family's. Like, I even had, so the first time I did plant medicine was with my mom, my dad, my brother, and I. And then from there, it spread to 11 people in my family, and especially on my dad.
Wow.
Yeah, especially on my dad's side of the family. So I'm half Pakistani and half white. And never in a million years would I ever had thought that any of my cousins or aunts would even go and try plant medicine. But, for example, like the medicine is so beautiful because it communicates in ways, and it communicates through us even when we don't realize it, because it's such a divine intelligence. And yeah, like for example, I hadn't talked to my one aunt in like almost 14, my one cousin in almost like 14 years, and my other aunt in 7 years. And they came and did ayahuasca, and like it just kept spreading to my other cousin and his wife, and like now there's a lot. So the medicine is so beautiful. It works in like in magical ways. And I think that's something that's really hard for like the Western society and for like science to understand, because we always want to know how and why, like how does this work? But like we don't have to. Like we don't have to understand all the technicalities behind it. This medicine is like a pure sense of spirit, and
Mm.
it's been here for so long. Like we are just a blimp in this universe, and we don't have all the answers, and I don't think we're ever going to have all the answers. And I feel like, that's why when some people like really, some people say, oh, like, oh, why are you doing so much plant medicine, and like, aren't you fixed or healed yet? Well, our souls are infinite, and we're like an
Mm.
onion, peeling one layer off at a time. And like also life happens, and so the medicine
Mm.
is a tool. It's not here to fix you, like I said before.
Mm.
But yeah, the medicine is just really beautiful. I just have so much gratitude. It's changed my life in so many ways. And I feel like this last year and a half, 2 years have been a roller coaster. Like I thought last year was crazy. I just don't even know what's gonna happen, honestly, tomorrow. I'm just like, okay. But that's just, that's coming back to trust,
Mm.
and that's really having faith, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. It's in Amber, thank you so much for actually walking this path, because, being able to hold this space for others who are about to go on this journey, and you do it so kind of lightheartedly and so beautifully in a way that just doesn't make it kind of, scary or intimidating. And it's so important to have people in that space that can make you feel safe and make you
Mhm.
feel, you know, I guess, guarded and protected when you're on this journey, because it can be scary. So thank you so much for doing all these medicines and doing all the work,
Oh,
and holding this space so beautifully, because I want to go to the Amazon right now.
yes.
I'm like, can we go tomorrow?
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
it's definitely something. It's funny because on my first night of the medicine, yeah, the medicine was showing me as a healer, and I always knew I was like very empathetic and highly sensitive, and I kind of would just be very in tune with what's kind of going on around me and stuff with people. And but I kind of ignored it, and I on the medicine was kind of showing me, this is kind of your path, but I was like, I don't think it is. Like, I really don't think it is. And I actually was scared as well. As like you said earlier on, I was like, who am I
Mm.
to walk this path? Like, what is that? Like, I'm just, another person. But then I suppose that's just the ego getting in the way. And it's like, it's nothing to do with like, who am I to think that, it's not your, that's just like who you were. It's your energy. It's like holding
Oh.
that space for when you're walking that journey. And I guess as the months are going on and I'm integrating, it just keeps coming back to me. It's like, maybe I should go to the Amazon, because it actually, I light up when I talk about it, and it just like makes my
Mm.
heart sing. And I'm like, okay, well, if I just do that naturally, and that's like what I'm passionate about, like maybe I should follow that rather than trying
Yeah.
to like run away from it, because
Yeah.
it's not what everybody else is doing, or it's not like, I guess that very commonly heard of, but it's quite daunting, I guess. So again, like you're just kind of leading that way so beautifully. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. And like, I'm still learning as I'm going. I
Mm.
feel that when you feel like you know something, you know nothing. And like
Yes,
I feel like
exactly.
even though you said like I bring more medicine, trust me, like I feel like such a baby still, like just learning and absorbing all this information. And if you and I really feel like part of and that comes with it, part of being in service to others is also like doing the internal work constantly, because you can't it was interesting. I read this article about the hero syndrome, and it's like, a lot of some people that want to be in service or want to be healers or help others, like it's also a form of spiritual bypassing, where like, okay, we're not going to deal with our own problems because we couldn't fix certain things in our life. We're going to go
Mm.
help fix other people. But that I've kind of talked about this in one of my episodes about how I think it's really important that if you feel called to be in service, to also really go into the shadow parts and work with yourselves, because then when you truly work on yourself, then you can help others. For
Mm.
example, like you can't help someone who learn boundaries if you don't know boundaries for yourself. How can you teach someone about respect if you don't have respect or love for yourself? So
Mm.
that's why doing the internal work, especially if you want to go and be in service, is so important, because the more that you clear your own channel, the more that you take the you out of you. And that's when you can really just hold, and being in service is like what you were saying, is just like being able to hold space without the judgment and the opinion
Mm.
and your beliefs and ideas, but just, yeah, taking that you out of you. And so you can be a clear source and channel for the light and the divine to come out. Or even, for example, when I'm serving combo, what I've learned is that is so important. Like, I'm not a healer.
Mm.
The medicine is doing the healing. I'm just a vessel. I'm just
Yes.
being a clear channel so that it can work through me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really important aspect of it too. And like, I think that if anyone really wants to be like work with like the plants, for example, or like the
Mm.
combo or these medicines, going to the Amazon is so beautiful, because that's part of it. Part of it is that's where you get the foundation. I think
Mm.
when you learn something with the traditions behind it, you get a deeper understanding. And I feel like that it's just the medicine will also see the respect behind it, and you're yeah, the medicine will just work with you in more beautiful ways. But I mean, yeah, if you end up going to the Amazon, I'll be there, so you know where to find me.
Yes, I'll be like, just like Amber, where are you? Just like knee deep in the Amazon with all of like your feathers, and I'm like, I'm home.
Yeah. It's
Oh
so
my God.
it's so true what you're saying though. It's like, when you were saying like when you talk about this stuff, you just feel that light and you just feel light up.
Yeah.
Like I feel the same thing. I'm like, I was talking to someone earlier today, and like I was like, honestly, I could talk about this for
Yeah.
hours. You just feel so passionate about it. And
Mm.
it feels like you're home, and it just feels like so comfortable. And I think that's when you really start tapping into your dharma, into your purpose and here in life.
Mm.
And you just got to follow that. And like, who wants to be like normal? Like that's just like,
Yeah.
a lot of us, and like a lot of people, even our parents age, or people are older and still don't even know what they're doing in this life. Some people go their
Mm.
whole lifetime without even knowing what their purpose is. So by like us following your passion and other people stepping into that, you're being an example for others and showing them that
Mm.
it's okay and it's safe. And like when you do that, you help raise a vibration and consciousness, and you will help empower not only yourself but others to stand in their truth and be the truth of what they believe in. And yeah, and I mean, I got my bachelor's, I went to school, got my master's. Honestly, I feel like I'm very grateful and very blessed that I had the opportunity, and I did that. But I've learned more in the last 2 years being around the plants and being in
Mm.
the environment of literally being in the school of life. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
even if you're not in doing plant medicine and you're just experiencing life, that is just so much more valuable. And these are the things that are really gonna help you find out your passion, because reading it in a textbook is so much different than going and experiencing that. I mean, that's one of the main reasons my parents moved my brother and I to Costa Rica after the 5th grade. We were not only reading about volcanoes
Mm.
and different stuff in the biology books, but we were going out and experiencing them. And
Mm.
that experience, I always tell my parents to this day, I'm so grateful that you moved us to Costa Rica to have an authentic experience as a child growing up outdoor and experience it, because the things that you learn and you can just read them, but an experience is something completely different and just has a different impact on your life.
It's so true. It's like, the best way to, I guess learn about life is to experience life, is to get out there and, go to these places. And, as you said, even if it's not through plant medicine, but as long as you're like, learning in life and you're taking those steps and, you're taking risks, so you're putting yourself out there, or whatever it is, like that is the best experience you can get, is actually just being in life and just doing it,
Yep.
rather than, I suppose, reading it in books or, reading quotes. I mean, you can read quotes and stuff, if you read all these things that like going out there and living your life, but if you're just scrolling, on Instagram, reading all these quotes, but you're not actually putting it into practice, it's like taking it a moment. And I know I was very guilty of that before. I was kind of, doing all these things, like reading all these books and stuff, but I wasn't actually out there putting it into practice or doing it. And it was actually only when I decided to join the yachting industry, because I had gone through like a really bad spell of depression, and I spent like 2 or 3 years like rewiring my brain, and like that dark time, I was like, okay, once I come out of this, I need to just like get out into the world and just like, I know it's going to be hard, I know it's going to be difficult, but like that's what I need to do to grow and evolve, and that's what I'm going to learn, and I'm going to meet people, and just going to pick up things along the way, and I feel it's the best kind of experience that you can get.
Yeah, and you can't put a price on it.
Yeah.
And like also, Emma, you're just such an example of that. Of, like you go, like following your calling of like just going and sailing around the world. And when I was hearing your story and your episode, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like also such an inspiration, just taking, and I really resonated with that as well, because I feel like I've been kind of similar. Like the first time I went to California, I'd never been there. I applied, went there for orientation first time, went to Glasgow first time, never been there. So it's like, just like taking that leap and trusting that
Mm.
your gut feeling. You don't have to know exactly where it's going to lead you, but they like coming back to trusting ourselves is so
Mm.
important, and our higher selves knows better. We have such a monkey mind of
Yes.
like always just like all over the place, and learning how to just kind of put that aside. And because I feel like clarity always comes later. It doesn't have
Mm.
to come tomorrow. Maybe it'll come tomorrow, in a minute, 2 years, 10 years, 50 years, but no matter what, it will always come. So that's why knowing the how and the why is not important. Just trusting that feeling, even if it's just a
Mm.
little bit, just going with it, because yeah, like we all have a purpose in this life and we all have a calling in it. And I think it's really brave when we step into that, because we just, lead by example.
Exactly. And I think definitely trusting those nudges and trusting that calling, and just really trusting your intuition, because it's niggling at you for a reason, it's there, and it's
Mhm.
like, you're kind of like, nah, I won't, or like I shouldn't, but, and it can be scary and it's so daunting. Like that's how I felt, when I went to do ayahuasca. I was terrified, but I was like, there's this massive pull calling me to do it, and I was just like, okay. Like I actually, after I booked the rhythmia for the week, I actually hung up the phone and I cried, because I was like a release. I was like, because I knew my life was going to change, but I didn't know how. But I was like, I have no idea how this is going to plan it. Like, I have no idea what the plan, like that the universe or God has for me. But like, this is like the pull that I need to trust. And I just need to like really hang on and trust. And, it's tough, really tough sometimes. But then you get to these beautiful burst through moments, and you're like, oh, I get it. It's all coming
Uh-huh.
together. You're just like, oh, life is so beautiful. And you're just like, I'm so glad that I trusted myself, and just followed that niggling feeling.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful when that happens.
And that's, I feel like, well, two things, like, like, you said that you cried after you hung up after booking, like the medicine's already working with you. That's like you're already purging.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pre-purging that goes on. And then, like, exactly, like, because you knew that there was about to be a change that comes, and I think that's just like, we are constantly being reborn, and like reborn and dying in different forms, like throughout life, and whether, like, it's like I was talking about before, the seasons, but like we go through
Mm,
that's different stages in our life. We go through one stage, okay, then that's finished. And so, um yeah, we're just like we're like a snake shedding skin, and like, or like an iguana, like it's completely, it's normal, it's supposed to happen. If you're not changing and evolving, something's probably not happening,
yeah.
something's not going right. But everyone has their own journey in life, and
Mm,
there's no right or wrong. It's just whatever we're here called to experience, um and our lessons as well.
mm, exactly. No, I totally agree with that. That is amazing. I could actually talk to you for hours, like an hours and hours. Like, feel like this conversation could actually go on for hours. But I just want to ask you before we kind of finish up, what is, I suppose, one thing you would say to someone if they're thinking about going to plant medicine, if they're kind of just a bit unsure or a bit nervous?
The one thing that I would say is that come with an open heart and an open
Mm,
mind. Don't come with any expectations. Just come with an intention. And when you're open, any plant medicine or animal medicine that you do, it will see that. But the medicine will always work on what the medicine will always give you what it needs, not what you want.
mm-hmm.
But the one thing I would say for sure is just come with an open heart and an open mind and no expectations, because expectations always lead to disappointment. But when you come with a completely open mind and heart and you surrender completely, that's when you'll receive the most benefit from it and the most healing. I remember my first ceremony. I honestly was didn't even know what to expect, and I just laid on the mattress and I said, "You know what? Okay, I'm ready. Just take me. If I die
Yeah.
here, it's okay. I'm gonna wake up at the end of ceremony here anyways." So,
Yeah.
and that was probably till this day one of my most memorable ceremonies. I remember I talked to my higher self and my soul, and there were tough moments, but I feel that the medicine gave me what I needed for that moment so I could trust more. So it was a lot of an abundance of light and just love that I've never experienced before. So for sure, just coming with an open mind and open heart is the best way. And, you know, and being scared and nervous is completely normal. I think that if you ask anyone that's drank medicine, every time is like the first time. I'm still nervous even when I do rapé. Like yesterday, I was like going to the bathroom before, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm already purging." So like, it's also shows that you have like respect for the medicine because it is so divine and intelligent, and it will open up parts to you that may feel uncomfortable. But it's completely normal, and like you might have times where your ego's like, "Oh, am I sure? Do you sure you want to do this?" Because change is uncomfortable. But like, like Emma has said, like when you as well, like when you work through that, it's so beautiful. I honestly think it's the most beautiful gift that you can give to yourself, not only to yourself, but for your family as well, because they say the medicine works 7 generations forward and seven generations backwards. So it's beautiful, it's tough. I would also say that, one last thing is that I don't believe in a bad or good experience. It
Mm,
is, sometimes people say, "Oh, like I didn't really have a good journey," but everything that you will experience, you've already experienced before. It's just coming out of you. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I feel very sick on the medicine," or I don't want to purge. But really, we came as sick, like we came as unhealthy beings. We're coming to get help from the medicine. The medicine
mm,
has to pull all of that out of you first. You have to go
mm,
back and experience some of those feelings and some of those events. and the medicine will has a different way of working with everyone, and it's not the same. But yeah, for sure, you can read about someone's experience, or Emma and I could talk all day,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just like we said before, it's an experience that has you have to do for yourself. And I feel like actually the less that you read about other people's experiences, the more open
Mm,
you will be, because I mean, what looks like is going on the outside is not what is necessarily happening on the inside. Someone might be explaining their journey, and it might seem like, oh, they're like completely they're having a horrible time and they're suffering, but on the inside they might be having a conversation with God.
mm.
So just really come with an open heart and open mind, and know that you are completely safe and loved, and that we're all part of nature, and so it's here for your best interest. And yeah, it's just honestly the best gift that you could ever give yourself.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it so much. Amber, thank you so much.
You're
What an
so-
incredible conversation. And I wish you all of the absolute best luck on. I can't wait. I mean, you're going to be coming on again anyway, because we'd have to have a follow up on
yeah,
everything.
you will for
And
sure.
everything that's been going on, because I'm just so excited to hear about your journey. Thank you so much for sharing and being so open and honest and sharing from your heart. You can really feel you're sharing from your heart space. So yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your light, my beautiful friend.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I feel so I'm just I know people can't see, but I'm smiling so much. I just feel so grateful. Yeah, and I'm really grateful for our friendship, and yeah, for sure we'll have to do another episode, and I'll have to have you on my podcast as well.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful that we're on this journey together, and that yeah, just spreading love and light, and knowing that, people can find hope and
Mm,
can find reassurance in nature, because it's always been here.
exactly. It's just waiting for us, really.
Exactly. Yep.
Amazing. Amber, thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma.
Bye.
Bye.